Celebrity Every Day 26. Star Wars already has the perfect way to prevent Palpatine from returning ever again. Emperor Palpatine is widely regarded as the most diabolical dark side user in the history of the Star Wars franchises, expanded universe and all, and as Dark Horse Comics' Star Wars Legacy comic showed, subsequent generations of Force wielders would develop traditions designed to make sure that no one like him held power over the galaxy for long ever again. Star Wars Legacy, War No. 6, written by John Ostrander, with art by Jander Sema, was the spectacular conclusion to the publisher's legacy. Comics, which represented the farthest into the future of the Star Wars galaxy any canon story had ever ventured, depicting events approximately 140 years after Return of the Jedi. Legacy is no longer in continuity, but as Marvel's current Star Wars comics enter the post-ROTJ era, it is worth considering their failure to prevent Palpatine's return in the context of one of the old canon's most intriguing ideas about preventing the rise of another Dark Force acolyte as Emperor. Beginning with an ending, the death of an Emperor and the fulfillment of an oath, in one of Star Wars' most dramatic arcs. Legacy's Imperial Knights and their allegiance to the light side, explained. Star Wars Legacy was a massive deal for fans of the franchise when it debuted in 2006, because it offered arguably the most radical reinterpretation of familiar Star Wars lore that had ever been attempted in a canon story. More than just remixing familiar iconography, though, Legacy was an extension of the ongoing post-Return of the Jedi narrative of the expanded universe, which had reached approximately the same point on the timeline as the sequel trilogy in Disney's successor canon. In a particularly intriguing development, this included the evolution of the Imperial Remnant into the Fel Empire. This faction was led by Roan Fel, a descendant of Han Solo and Leia Organa, and was notable for their order of Imperial Knights, essentially, Jedi who served the Empire, rather than a separate order. As Legacy delved deeper into the Imperial Knights' backstory, it was established that a core tenet of their vows emphasized that they served the Emperor, or Empress, only so long as the leader remained loyal to the light side of the Force. In one of Legacy's most dramatically effective moments, this oath was put to the test when Roan Fel himself succumbed to the dark side. Roan's most loyal knight, Antares Draco, was forced to kill the Emperor, rather than let a fallen Force user have control of the Empire. This was, in essence, a historical reply to the circumstances that gave rise to the rule of Emperor Palpatine and the evil galactic empire that predated the Fel Empire, and in essence, this is exactly the kind of progression of Star Wars lore that made Legacy a huge success, and why it continues to be so fondly remembered by readers to this day. Roan Fel's death proved that the Imperial Knights serve as an official failsafe against a Palpatine-like leader. Star Wars Legacy, War No. 6 of 6, written by John Ostrander, art by Jander Sema, ink by Dan Parsons, color by Brad Anderson, lettering by Michael Heisler. In one of the most memorable moments from Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, upon learning about Palpatine's true identity as a Sith and his plans for galactic domination, Jedi Master Mace Windu led a team to arrest the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. Their failure resulted in Palpatine scapegoating them, and the Jedi in general, leading to the enactment of Order 66. Part of why this was effective was because, despite their close relations, the Old Jedi Order and the Old Republic were legally distinct entities. That is to say, Windu and the Jedi were operating in a nebulous gray area when it came to their legal authority to arrest the Chancellor. The Imperial Knights of the later Legacy era serve as an acknowledgement of that. The Knights are an official imperial institution whose primary role is to serve the Emperor, but built into that is the official recognition that they have a superseding responsibility to the light side of the Force and to preserving order in the galaxy, in the form of preventing another dangerous Emperor to rise to the throne. The legacy of Legacy. How the future of the old Star Wars timeline is still relevant to the new one. Legacy is a how-to for bold, innovative Star Wars stories. The substance of Star Wars Legacy is difficult to adapt into the current Disney continuity, given how deeply tied to the previous version of the expanded universe it was. In a way, Legacy was effectively the grand culmination, the greatest triumph, of the old expanded universe, which is now branded as the Legends continuity, as it has been supplanted by Disney's new canon. Nevertheless, there are many things that the current and future generation of Star Wars storytellers can learn from the iconic series. The best stories Star Wars multimedia branches have to offer are those that push the franchise into new, unfamiliar territory. Perhaps the most potent lesson Legacy has to teach is that Star Wars stories are about more than just remixing familiar elements and revisiting fan-favorite characters. Rather, the best stories Star Wars multimedia branches have to offer are those that push the franchise into new, unfamiliar territory. In this regard, Star Wars Legacy was a masterclass, as exemplified by the story of the Imperial Knights and the tragic Emperor Roan fell, which proved that the galaxy had learned the hard lesson of Emperor Palpatine's ascension. Celebrity Every Day 26